I am joined now by Angie Thomas, the award-winning author of today's Velshi Band Book Club feature, a staff favorite, The Hate U Give. Angie, welcome to the Velshi Band Book Club. We've literally been talking about this book since day one. It epitomizes what we're trying to do here. And the good news is we've been talking about banned books for a year and a half, so we don't have to talk about the book banning here. We can talk actually about the book, which is fantastic. Let me start with bravery. It's a persistent theme in The Hate U Give. It culminates in the moments before Star testifies. Her mother says to her, quote, "Brave doesn't mean you're not scared, Star." She says it means you go on, even though you're scared, and you're doing that. Star pushes back on this. She rejects the notion she's brave or acting bravely throughout the book. Why is that?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. And that introduction earlier is probably the best introduction I've gotten in my career. So thank you. But, you know, bravery is one of those concepts that feels bigger than it actually is, especially for young people. When you think of bravery, they may think of superheroes or something like that. But sometimes bravery, the best bravery is found in the smallest acts. Sometimes it just means stepping out of your comfort zone. Sometimes bravery means, yes, I am shaking, I am trembling, but I'm going to push forward to do what I believe is right. And I think a lot of times young people think that, oh, my heroes or people who've changed history, they weren't afraid. And that's not true. You know, I'm sure there were plenty of times Dr. King was terrified, but he kept going. So I wanted to, it's kind of like what you were saying earlier, you know, presenting fast food, but, you know, hopefully the reader will, you know, cherish it, you know, take their time with it. It's about breaking something down and saying, hey, it's not always the big act. Sometimes it's taking one step at a time and doing something that terrifies you, but still pushing forward and doing it anyway.
So the unusual nature of this book club is this is a news program. And so while you're here, I want to talk about the moment that Star goes on the news to recount Khalil's murder. The fictional news anchor asks Star how she feels about the media's portrayal of the murder. Quote, "It seems like they always want to talk about what he may have said, what he may have done, what he may have not done. I don't know a dead person could be charged in his own murder, you know?" Now, ultimately, the news program is used as a vehicle to further Star's growth, to help her gain her voice. But this is a real critique of news coverage of police brutality. And it's not the only media reference in the book either. Let's talk a little about that. You are making a point here that historically the news has gone after the victim quite often.
Oh, absolutely. And not just the victim, they've even gone after the witnesses. I remember when I was working on The Hate U Give, I particularly thought not just of Trayvon Martin, but his best friend, Rachel Gentile, who was on the phone with him at the time of his murder. And I remember that there were so many people who were criticizing this young lady for how she spoke, as opposed to listening to what she was saying when she was on the stand. She wasn't, quote unquote, polished. You know, she spoke how she spoke. She talked how she talked. And yet there were people coming at her. And then I remember, too, there was a lot of talk about, oh, what kind of kid was Trayvon? Oh, you know, he got in trouble, this, and this. They were pulling up pictures that he took, maybe of him, you know, looking a certain way in the photos. And I remember thinking, what does that have to do with his death? Why is it, though, when we're talking about young Black men, suddenly, you know, they're not victims. There's something that they did wrong. And we immediately look for reasons to justify their deaths. And the media, honestly, is guilty of doing this at times. I see more things about these young Black men and their records than I do of what happened in those last moments. And we have to sit back and wonder, why is that?
Why is that? Why is that? Is it because we don't listen enough? Because we get our information from police? Because of institutionalized racism? What conclusion did you draw?
My conclusion is that this is unfortunately a tale as long as old as this country. In fact, I'm going to even go back and reference another book of mine, Concrete Rose, which is the prequel to The Hate U Give, about Star's dad, Maverick. And there's a line in there where this man tells young Maverick, that sometimes for Black men, it's easier to not see them as human to justify the brutality that's done to them. And for me, as an author, one of the things I work towards is dehumanizing young Black people, humanizing young Black people, because so often this country has dehumanized This is a tale as old as time. It's part of the dehumanization, and it's so ingrained in us. It's so ingrained in our media. It's so ingrained in this society. It's so ingrained in our laws that at some point we have to take the blinders off of ourselves and say, wait a minute, what is going on here? And as an author, my goal is to humanize. So that just, it feels like it's always happened. If you go back to every movement for Black people in this country, the dehumanization is at the core of it. And so, of course, it translates in the media as well.
That's a lesson for us all to take to heart and try and make sure that we do our part to change it. You explore community throughout the book. I want to read a quote. You say, all right now, Star, one of our neighbors calls out. I get that just about every day in the neighborhood now, all right now, is more than a greeting. It's a simple way people let me know they got my back, end quote. Now, made more complicated by Star's dueling communities, right? She's got this home community, the garden, and she's got the school community. You really explore both. She's a part of both, and then they come into conflict. Tell me a bit about that.
Well, that was taken from my own life. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. In fact, I'm in my mom's house in Mississippi right now. But I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, and I lived in a neighborhood called Georgetown, mostly Black, mostly poor. And every time you heard about Georgetown on the news, it was for the wrong reasons. But I went to a school called Belhaven, which is in a mostly white, upper-class private. It's a mostly a white, upper-class private school, and it's in a very affluent area. And so I found myself being two different people in two different worlds very, very often. And I don't think a lot of people understand the duality of being a Black person in America at times, specifically if you are from a certain type of community and you find yourself in a different environment, such as a private school or something like that. Who I was in my neighborhood would not cut it at my school. So I often had to code switch so that people wouldn't make judgments about me, so that people wouldn't assume, oh, she's the ghetto girl, she's the angry Black girl, this, and this, because those assumptions, those stereotypes are so prevalent that if I step out of line just in one simple way, suddenly I'm written off. There are assumptions made about me. And this is what Star faces. This is what a lot of Black kids, especially, but kids of color, period, in this country face. They often have to change. And not just, let me change that, not just kids. Adults too, because I still deal with it. If I were to get on here right now and I start talking like I talk in my neighborhood and saying, look, I ain't finna deal with this, there are going to be people who are watching you right now and they say, oh, she's, oh. But what I want us to think about for a moment, what I wish we would do more is consider what people are saying as opposed to how they say it. Some of the most intelligent people I know from my old neighborhood speak a certain way, and you could easily write them off. But if you paid attention to what they're saying, you would learn something yourself. So that duality is tough. It's hard. It's a challenge. And that's something I dealt with personally. It's something I know a lot of Black Americans especially deal with on a daily basis. And I wanted to show these young people that, hey, yes, you deal with this, but at the end of the day, you have not someone else's standards for what intelligence is.
Angie, thank you so much. We've been looking forward to this conversation for a very, very long time. Angie Thomas is the author of today's Velshi Band Book Club, The Hate U Give. I'm going to continue the conversation with Angie Thomas. The extended cut will be available next week on NBC's streaming platform Peacock. Log on this week and search Velshi for the rest of our discussion and other extended Velshi Band Book Club interviews.